Oh, I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Leanne Hadley, and I'm the founder of Pieta, a spiritual movement of love and compassion towards ourselves, others, the earth, and all of God's creatures. And I am so glad that you are here. We are a Christian movement, but you do not need to be a Christian to come and experience Pieta and be part of our loving and compassionate community. If you're looking to find a community that's really striving to do those things, then this is your community. Welcome, join us. We use this statue as our symbol of Pieta. This is Mary with her son Jesus, and there's this little loving spot right here of unconditional compassion, love, goodness, and it is with this love that we try to love one another as if we were Mary and everyone we encounter is Christ. So this is what Pieta is. It's the space in between all of us. I'm going to light our sacred candle, and then we're going to get started with our lesson for tonight. We'll do the Pieta prayer, and then we'll get to our lesson. We're going to look at the feminine face of God for the next few weeks. It's going to be fascinating. I'm glad that you're here. I've lit our candle. It's lit. There you go. Let's be still. And just for a few moments, quiet your heart and your soul, and then I'll say our Pieta prayer, and we'll start. Let me be in the world with nothing to prove, letting go of all expectations and judgment. May I give and receive compassion. May I care for others and receive their care. May I love deeply and receive love. May I be in the world with nothing to prove. May I be Pieta. I'm glad that you're here. So today, as I said, we're going to start this series on the feminine faces of God. God, many of us grew up with a male God. You know, God is just male. And however, in the Bible, there are many places where God is looked upon as a female. There are imagery about God. Female faces of God are in the Bible. So for those of you that grew up, you know, in a church that was like God is male, everything is male, this might be a hard study for you, but I hope that you'll stick with it and that you'll wrestle with the text with us and to really grow. And we can see what we can learn about our compassion as we look at the feminine aspects of God. Okay, so we're going to start today at the very beginning of the Bible, Genesis 1. And it says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. Then God said, 'Let us make mankind, humankind, in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground.' So God created mankind in God's own image. In the image of God, God created them. Male and female, God created them." All right, so most of us, I think when we hear this passage, imagine God who sits in heaven with like a little clay making the whole world. And I want to just break this down looking at the Hebrew and see what we can learn about God and about sort of the feminine side of God, which says that God is neither male nor female. God is God. And I think that when you think about this Bible being written in such a patriarchal time, it is amazing that there are female or feminine aspects of God included at all. So I just want to start with Genesis, and I made us a little, a little teaching tool, I guess. And I want to start with the word God. So in the first line, it says, "In the beginning, God." And this word in Hebrew is Elohim. I'm not a Hebrew scholar, so if I'm saying these wrong, I apologize to those of you who are. Elohim. And it is a plural word, and it is masculine. So, you know, it starts with "in the beginning, God," and that's a masculine word for God. This is a masculine word. But it's plural. So in the beginning, gods. More than one God? In the beginning, plural gods. In the beginning, gods. Okay, it says, "In the beginning, gods created the heaven and the earth." And you're thinking, wow, was it a male and a female God? Or these two different people? What is the plural about? Is there more than one God? We know there's not. We already have monotheism. So this is really confusing that this is plural until you get to the next line. So it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. So we know that God is there. And then it says the Ruha of God was hovering over the waters, the Spirit of God. And the Spirit is female. Now, if you take this Elohim and Ruha and you put them together, is this the plural that Genesis is talking about when it begins, in the beginning, gods created? Was it saying there isn't just a male or a female? Gods, one and the same, male and female, Elohim and the Spirit Ruach. So these are one thing. So in your body, if somebody said, what is your name? I would say Leanne. And then if you said, but the Spirit, God's Spirit that's in you, what's its name? It would be Leanne. So we have Elohim and Ruha, the breath of God, the Spirit of God. And perhaps that's why this Elohim is plural. In the beginning, the gods, Elohim, the masculine and the feminine, created the earth. Now, you can disagree with me, but I think it's fascinating. Think about it before you just jump into, no, God's a man, this makes no sense. Think about it. In the beginning, gods, Elohim, created the heavens and the earth. Now, the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and Ruha, the Spirit of God, was hovering over the waters. Okay, then it goes on, and it says, then God said, let us make Adam in our image, in our likeness, our image. This doesn't make any sense to me. This does. Our image, our likeness. And then it says, let us make Adam. Now, the word Adam we call Adam, and like that's the first man. But if you look at the word Adam in this first creation story, it's a word of unknown origin. They don't know where it came from. And it means something like red or ruddiness. So it sounds like clay, like God made Adam from the earth. And it says, then God said, let us make humankind, Adam, in our image. And guess what? That word Adam, it's plural again. So you look at that and it's let us make atoms. Let's make more than one of these red clay things. Let's make an atom. So God says, make Adams in our image, in our likeness, so that they, so this isn't one person, this is they, the atoms, all the atoms, may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created humankind in God's own image. In the image of God, he created them, male, which is this word, zakar, and female, nekavar. You see? In the beginning, the gods. Who were the gods? This feminine and masculine beings come together. You see? Men and women make up the God. And then the same thing happens over here. God makes these atoms, lots of atoms, like it's plural. And then God says they are male and female together. Now again, you can disagree with me, but the fact that the word for Elohim is plural, as if there was more than one God, and then God says the Spirit is with God, and then the same, the atoms, plural, and then there's the Nekavar, which is the woman, and the Zakar, which is the man. You see? And so it's like in the very beginning of the Bible, if you look closely, there's this male and female energy beings that are together. It isn't male or female. It's all mixed up together. And perhaps what it's saying is, we who are made in the image of God are not made in the image of a man or a woman, but all of us, all of the men and the women, everybody is made in this image of God. God is neither male nor female. God is God, and we are not different. We are all God's children. We are all Adams, made from the clay that God scooped up from the earth that God had made. It's so inclusive of everybody, this first few verses in Genesis. I know, I told you this is going to be interesting, it's going to be threatening, and it's going to mess with our minds, especially those of us who learned that God is a man. We're going to start looking at what is it to see God as neither male nor female, and it's going to be an interesting study together. So that's my lesson for tonight, and I have a question for you that you can ponder after we do our prayer together. The question for the week is, what did you learn about God? Did you learn that God was male or female or both? And what was your experience because of the image of God you grew up with? Did you feel close to God? Did you feel pulled away from God? Do you matter? Do you care if God is male or female? And what do you struggle with most when we look at God as either male or female? And does seeing God as this mixture of male and female, the Elohims and the Ruha, the maleness of God, the feminine side of God going together, does that help you in your relationship with God in any way? This is a lot to ponder. So don't decide anything now. Just think about it and ponder. It's going to be an interesting study. I'm glad that you're with us. Let's do our Pieta prayer. Let us be in the world with nothing to prove, letting go of all expectations and judgment. May we give and receive compassion. May we care for others and receive their care. May we love deeply and receive love. May we be in the world with nothing to prove. May we be Pieta. Before we go, just remember that Pieta is not about matching in our understandings. You don't have to match with me. You don't have to match with anybody. It's about exploring the scripture and hearing how it helps you to be a more or less compassionate person. So how does this story of seeing this God in this way, a way we're not used to seeing God and human beings as being matched together, how does that help you be more compassionate? Ponder it. I'll see you next time. Thank you for being here.